submitting yourself to your Creator. That's the meaning of Islam.
Okay, no, it started with who? He was a Jewish.
No.
Yeah, way back.
So
And
Islam has no beginning. Islam has always been the religion of all of the prophets.
religion. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it came from. The genes of Jewish.
No, so Islam has nothing to do with genetics. So Islam is not a race. Islam's a religion,
Oh,
right?
okay,
So
yeah.
Islam is a religion that Adam and Abraham and Moses and Jesus and Muhammad, all of them were on the same religion
Yeah.
of believing in one God.
Yeah.
Like you see the 10 commandments, right? O Israel, know that your Lord is one Lord, and don't worship, second commandment, don't worship graven idols. And so this is Islam, right? This is the core of
Yeah.
the same belief. So Muslims
yeah.
have the same, exactly.
Same,
So
yeah.
a Muslim is somebody who submits their will to their Creator. So Abraham was a Muslim, Moses was a Muslim, Noah was a Muslim, Adam was a Muslim. They all submitted themselves to their Creator and followed the belief that there's only one God and nobody else should be worshipped.
Right, but there was no such thing as Islam back then.
Well, there was, right? So that's what I'm saying. Today, people think Islam is a name given to the religion that only the followers of the Prophet Muhammad had.
Yes,
But that's
yes.
not true. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the last of the prophets. But Islam has been the religion throughout all times.
Okay.
Yeah, so we believe in the same message that Jesus brought, that Moses brought, that Abraham brought, that Adam brought. All of them had the same message. Believe in one God, don't worship people, don't worship animals, don't worship rocks. Exactly. Be good, don't kill people, don't rape, don't pillage. That's all one message from the same one God. So that one God, we know him through many names. Allah is only one of those names. Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. Ar-Rahim, the especially merciful. Ghafoor, the one who forgives. Wudud, the one that loves. Shadidul Iqab, the one who's strict in taking account and punishment. All of those are the same Creator's different names.
Yeah.
He may have been called Eloh or Yahweh or whatever else in other languages.
Yeah.
He has many names we don't even know. But it's the same God. Like, we don't believe there was a different God to Jesus and a different God to Moses and a different God to Muhammad. Peace be upon all of them. We love all the prophets. That's why you'll never see a Muslim disrespect any of the prophets.
I've never seen.
Exactly. You see like non-Muslims drawing cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad or burning Quran, but you never see a Muslim do any of that. You never see a Muslim draw cartoons of Jesus or Moses. We love them. We love them as we love all the prophets, and we believe in them just as much as we believe in any other prophet. The Quran tells us don't differentiate your belief in them. I mean, you can't pick and choose. You can't be like, I believe in Abraham but not in Muhammad. Peace be upon both of them, right? So Islam is nothing new. Islam is not an Arab religion. It's not a Jewish genetic religion. It's not for any particular race. Like you see here, he's a new Muslim. He used to be Christian. He's African American. This brother's from Afghanistan. This brother's from Somalia. We got brothers that are Mexican and white. Different. I'm ethnically Pashtun from Pakistan. All different nationalities, different languages, but we're all Muslim equally. Whoever's more pious, white, black, it doesn't matter. Like you look at the prophets, they were sent to every nation. There were prophets that were dark-skinned, there were that were light-skinned. I mean, it's very racist to think that God is a man and he's a white man or a black man, because
That's very true.
right? I mean, if you think of the picture of Jesus that we're shown in America, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white skin,
Blonde hair? No, he's got dark hair.
or dark. Well, it depends what church you go to, right? I've been to churches where he had blonde hair, it was glowing. Yeah, I've seen it. And a lot of churches have him. Like I was in Atlanta, they had him black with a goatee and cornrows, right? But then again, if God is a race and he's a man, then how is that? I mean, even in America, we say you have to be judged by a jury of your peers, because it's not fair if an all-white jury or all-black jury was to judge you. But if God was a racial character, then how? See, you know that doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
And how can God be a man? Like, God is above that. He created men, he created women.
He's not a man.
Exactly. You are very close to Islam already. See, this is we have the same.
Well, I'm a Christian, so this
excellent,
is what I-
excellent.
It's all.
But the way you're telling me is very different from a lot of Christians, right? A lot of Christians will tell you Jesus is God, and he's a man. He came as a man, right? But we know that God's not a man. God created men, right? He created women. He created animals. He created other creations that we don't even, in the skies, that we don't even know about, some that we know about. So he's above all that, right?
You mean the ants and the mosquitoes?
Ants and mosquitoes and all kinds of angels.
They call those things. They bite you.
Mosquitoes, yeah, mosquitoes do bite you, yeah. But everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
So
I was living in Chicago at the time, and of course I went to Israel for 10
Wow.
days with the Sunday school class, and it was wonderful to see the physical parts of
right.
the starts of what I believe in, and
Right.
to be floating in the Dead Sea and
It's amazing, right?
understanding the culture there in the Middle
Right.
East.
Did you go to the Dome of the Rock? You saw the,
Oh, yeah.
that's beautiful,
Did
right?
that,
Yeah. So this is a great example of a time, for example, when the Muslims used to rule Palestine under Salahuddin Ayyubi and Saladin, as they call him in the West.
Yes.
And how peacefully Muslims and Christians and Jews live together, right? Unlike today, when you go and you see the Israeli side where Jews can walk around with machine guns and Palestinians, police officers can't even carry a gun. I mean, the apartheid that goes on there, I'm sure you noticed. If you go to the Gaza side, I mean, it's it's all blockaded in, and the West Bank's all broke, and houses are taken from people by force. But which is very sad. And if you look at Spain, for example, when it was ruled by Muslims,
Yes.
Andalus, and how peacefully Muslims and Christians and Jews lived together until the Spanish Inquisition, when they slaughtered Christians, Jews, Muslims. If you didn't convert to their form of Christianity, so it's power. Yeah, it corrupts, right?
And that's you respect everybody's
Right.
religion and what they believe.
Exactly.
Because
In the end, we all believe in one God, right? No kids, no partners, no.
But I was going to tell you, when we came back, there's an organization, I'm sure you know about it, Jews for Jesus.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay, well, one of the fellows came out and was talking to our class, and he said, the scriptures, the Hebrew scriptures, were, what was it? It was the Greeks that translated the
Aramaic, yes.
Aramaic into Greek.
That's true.
And I don't know if that was 300 AD or when.
Around, the Gospels that we base our New Testament on today are from around 300 to 400 AD.
Yes.
The complete ones.
Yes.
The earliest ones, which is the size of like a credit card, that's around 100 to 200 AD, but again, that's just like a part of a verse.
Right.
But
This-
the
when
Sinai,
the Greeks-
it's
when
in
the Greeks
Koine Greek, yeah.
did the whole thing.
Yeah.
They changed, he said the Hebrew emblem that meant many, many became 40 in the Greek language.
Very
So
interesting.
it was 40 years here, 40 years there.
40,000, 40. Excellent.
That
Great
Hebrew
point.
emblem, or the Arabic, was many, many.
Many. Interesting.
Yeah, so I thought, okay.
That's really interesting.
And
That
the other thing was virgin.
right.
And that Hebrew emblem, Hebrew, the Greeks called it virgin, and meaning no sex.
Wow.
But the
Aramaic.
Aramaic meant without a man. Without a man, meaning they were not married.
Interesting.
So when I look at it,
So do you believe Jesus was not born to a virgin? Do you believe that?
being an old nurse,
Right.
you don't have to have intercourse to get pregnant.
Gotcha.
A man can ejaculate outside of the woman,
That is true.
and the little sperm can
Gets
go right
in.
up.
Gotcha.
And if she's got an egg there, hey, you're gonna have a baby.
So do you think God's sperm got into Mary?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think
All right.
number one, Mary was, how old was Mary?
12,
14.
12 to 14. Joseph was 90, right?
Well, I don't know how old, but he was
Yeah.
an old man.
Yeah, old
I
man.
don't think it was 90. He was probably maybe 40 or.
The Catholic Encyclopedia had him at 90 and her at 12.
I had not heard that.
Right,
one. No. I was taught 14, but
60, 70.
he was he was
he was
he was
old.
like a 50, 60-year-old man. But maybe he was at an age where he couldn't ejaculate, or he could ejaculate, but
But his sperm didn't get there? Gotcha.
and the sperm got there, but
Okay.
You
So
know.
you think Jesus is Joseph's physical son then, not God's son?
No.
Okay.
No, I
Alright.
don't.
So you think Jesus
No,
is
it could be Joseph's.
could
son.
be Joseph's son?
Yeah, could
Jesus.
be Joseph's son.
Alright.
Because you have to have a sperm and egg to meet.
Gotcha. But don't you think that's the point of the miraculous birth? Is that it was different from the regular idea of sperm and egg? Right? I mean, we as
No,
Muslims
yeah.
agree with you that Jesus is not the son of God. Like we're with you on that one. We don't believe he's the son of Joseph either. We believe he had no father, just like Adam had no father or mother. You know, no egg, no sperm, but God made Adam, right? And Eve was from the rib, as we all see in the scriptures, right? Meaning, as you can take a DNA today, as, you know, just to understand, and you can, you know, clone a human being. Allah is greater than that, the creator. So he made Eve from Adam, without a father or mother. So to us, it's not something impossible for God, right? For the creator, to give birth to a child without a father. It doesn't mean that he's a son of God, right? Like you said, the Aramaic being translated into Greek. If you look in the Bible, you will find many sons, as
Yes.
we say sons by the tons, right?
Yes, yeah.
In Exodus,
Yeah.
for example, you will find, then you shall say to Pharaoh, thus says the Lord, Israel is my son, my firstborn. So here Israel is being called the son of God. But,
yes.
but in Aramaic, that's a term of respect. It's a term of endearment, right? It's not physically the son of God.
Right.
So we Muslims believe that Jesus is the prophet of God, and he was born miraculously to a Virgin Mary, but he's not the physical son of God.
Okay.
Just like you see Solomon here, in 2 Samuel 7:13, and he shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. And this is being spoken to
Samuel.
David about his son, which is Solomon.
Yeah.
So here Solomon is called the son, but again, not a physical son, but in the Aramaic term of endearment. David as well, in the Psalms of David, 2 verse 7, I will declare the decree, the Lord has said to me, you are my son, today I have begotten you. This is God speaking to David. This is the Old Testament. But again, we don't mean that he's the physical son of God.
Right.
But Ephraim as well, you find in the Bible, for I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. This is in Jeremiah 31:9. And Adam as well. If you look in the genealogy of Jesus, peace be upon all of the prophets, you see in the end the son of Enosh, the son of Seth, the son of Adam, the son of God.
Yeah.
So Adam is called the son of God as well. And Jesus is also called the son of God. But again, like you were saying,
were
an
all-
excellent point, that if you look at translations, for example, if you go to a priest today and you say, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Well, you don't mean father like physically, like spermed. You mean a term of respect.
Respect,
So when Jesus says, I and the Father are one, again, it's like us saying we are one nation. We see Jesus talk about all the apostles and God being one as well, right? Again, none of that means that it is physically one, but again, in the sense of being on the same page or on the same mindset. And this is why we all believe that Jesus was a pious prophet of God, but not the son physically, the son of God. Yeah. This is the verse I was referring to here. If you look in John 17:20, I do not pray for thee alone, but I also pray for who will believe in me through their word, that all may be one, as you, my Father, are in me and I in you, that they also may be one in us. So Jesus is saying to the apostles that me, you, the Father, all of us, and anybody who comes after me are one in us. But this means that together. It doesn't mean physically, like,
Yeah.
DNA and biologics here, right? And this is where the translation of a lot of Christians went astray from the Koine Greek or Aramaic to take Jesus to be God himself or the physical Son of God.
Yeah.
Jesus prays. And if you've seen how
Yes.
Jesus prays, he put his forehead to the ground,
Yes.
as Muslims do.
Yeah, well,
right?
that was a cultural thing, whether the Jewish or
Exactly, but it's not culture, it's a religious tradition.
Yeah.
And we today pray the same way Jesus prayed. If you go to most churches, they'll either kneel or they'll go like this, or they'll sing and dance and
Yeah, it's just
move
different
snakes.
culture.
Right, but we believe that you should stick to the religious traditions. Cultures change. What you eat, what you wear, how what country you live in, what language you speak, but the religion of God stays the same. Right? And those commandments given for there being one God.
Yes,
exactly. To love, to respect,
Yes.
not to kill, not to harm, not to steal,
To lie.
not to lie, not to worship idols.
Yeah.
Right? Now today you go to churches, especially Catholic churches, the first thing you see are huge idols of saints and of Mary and
That
of
goes
Jesus.
way back in the Middle Ages.
Right? And how God had forbidden those.
Yeah.
Right? In the Bible.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you look at money, there you go. Now you know, right? So that's why,
It's really interesting.
yeah, it's very interesting. Money corrupted churches like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
Oh, you have condolences?
Yeah,
You have to
yeah,
pay.
right. When I was growing up, I grew up with a lot of Mexicans, and they were mostly Catholics, and they were gang members, and they would do horrible things. And Sunday morning, Saturday night would be the fights, killing,
Yes.
shootouts, all that. Sunday morning, they were in church, and they would be like, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned," and he'd be like, "Say these many Hail Marys, donate to the church." There'd be money going in. That's what the mafia, Italian mafia, the Mexican mafia, very staunch Catholics, because they feel, we pay our money, we're done. In Mexico, they have an altar to the saint of drug dealers.
Where?
In Mexico, they have a saint for drug dealers. I kid you not.
kidding. I
Yeah,
didn't hear that.
it's look it up. It's amazing. So, how is that religion? How do you have? This is not what God had revealed to us how to live. God doesn't give saints to drug dealers. Drug dealing is wrong. This is something condemned. People die from those drugs,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
So, we agree that there's only one creator, right? And we believe that same creator sent messages and different prophets, right? So Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, peace be upon all of them, they all brought that same message. That message, believe in one God, don't worship idols, don't worship people, don't worship animals, don't worship pieces of wood. Even if you look at the Christmas tree today, right? We see Christmas trees in every house, but
Not my house.
not your house, and not my house either. Great.
That's a
But look,
headache to.
in the Bible, you will find in Jeremiah chapter 10, you see about that not to take on the customs of the futile, that who cut out the trees from the forest, the work of hands and the works of men with an axe, then decorated with silver and gold and fasten it with nails. This is being forbidden.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's
I didn't know
interesting,
about that
right?
in Jeremiah.
Look it up when you go home.
No.
Jeremiah 10, just read from 1 onwards. And this is a pagan festival. Christmas is a pagan festival. This is not the birth of Jesus.
No, that's right.
That is
So
true.
It was a
You
pagan.
see, you know it.
Yeah.
But today,
Yeah.
how many Christians celebrate it? Knowing or not knowing that Jesus was not born on the 25th of December.
Right,
This was
that's
a
right.
pagan solistic festival.
I've known that for years.
Excellent. See, you're there with Islam. I feel you. You're coming.
I love history. I mean, it is
Excellent.
just amazing.
And as you've already said, that the original writings of the followers of Jesus are no longer. What we have today is based on Greek writings that were
right.
not written by Matthew
Greek
and Luke.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the authorship of many of these are anonymous.
Yeah.
And that's why you see
That's
clear
right.
contradictions. I'll give you an example. I'm sure you already know this, but if you look at the genealogy of Jesus
Oh, yes.
in Matthew,
Uh-huh.
Jacob here, and Jacob begotten Joseph, the husband of Mary, to whom born Jesus, and he is called Christ. So here, Jacob begotten Joseph. So Joseph's clearly the son of Jacob here in Matthew. But in the same New Testament, if we go to the genealogy of Jesus in Luke, just bring it up. Here, you see, now Jesus himself began his ministry at the age of 30 years of age, being supposedly the son of Joseph, the son of Heli.
Joseph was the son of Heli.
Heli. In the other verse, it was Jacob, right? I can show it to you again. So here, you see, Jacob begotten Joseph, the husband of Mary, right? Here, Joseph, the son of Heli. And some people try to say, oh, this is Mary, but this is a son, not daughter, and Mary is not even mentioned here, right? What I have done, just for my own study, I wrote out both genealogies side by side. And I suggest you do this in Luke and Matthew. And if you look at starting from Jesus to Joseph to Jacob to Mathan, to Elizar, to Eliud, to go back. These are all different. From Luke, which is chapter 3, Luke 3, right? Then you go
Jesus and
Joseph and Jacob. So
Jacob.
Jesus, Joseph. Here you get to Heli and Mathat and Levi and Milchi
just different.
and Jenna. Totally different.
Oh my goodness.
Even the number between Jesus and David, here it's David being at the 14th year, it's 56 up to Jesus. On here, David being the 15th year, it's 43 up to Jesus.
Wow.
It's not even the same number.
Isn't that interesting?
So this
They
is
added,
they
wow,
added
you should publish
change.
that. That's awesome.
I should
Yeah,
publish it
That would,
when I get some.
you should, and
Yeah.
have a little piece here.
That's so true.
It's amazing.
So a lot of these things, even if you look at, go ahead.
And his name shall be called Christ.
Right,
Yeah. And you know what that means?
Christ, the anointed one.
No.
Right. What does it mean? Christo, right?
Messiah.
Messiah, exactly. I mean, Messiah again, meaning the one who's chosen, right? The one who brings is anointed, the one
Yes.
who's brought
Yeah.
from Christo, right?
Messiah. We're waiting for
Right.
Messiah to come.
Right, and no doubt, he was chosen. He was the Messiah. He was a messenger. He was the one who brought the message to his people. But if you look at a lot of what was to come at the end of time, like in the Songs of Solomon,
Yeah.
when you see the duet between seems to be a lover and the female and the male, but as almost every writer has said that this is a parable to show the one who would come for the nation, we see the word Muhammadan mentioned there, right? Not just that, if you look at the comforter mentioned, so no doubt that Jesus was there, and no doubt that the last prophet that came after him was Muhammad. And that's why you look at the Quran, a man who couldn't read or write in a desert, right?
right.
He was illiterate, unlettered. How could he come up with something like this? Something that has
How did he
sign.
do that?
So this is a revelation from God, right? It's not him writing, right? The revelation would come. And it had scientific facts, it had historic facts, it had things about the past that the Arabs didn't know about, like how did Joseph end up or how did Moses end up in Egypt when they were originally from the area what's called Sham or the Levant, right? And this is something that the Jews sent that question through the pagans of Arabia to the Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet didn't have an answer, but Allah then revealed those verses to him to answer those historic things, right? It also had things that would happen, like what would happen between the Romans and the Persians and who would win prophecies that came true. It also has news about the Day of Judgment and the hereafter, right? It also has linguistic miracles. The language of the Quran, which is called balagha, was so eloquent that even the poets couldn't respond to it, right? Even though the Prophet Muhammad was not a poet. He had never written poetry in his life. So how could he come up with a book like this?
Wasn't he talking and somebody would
Exactly.
scribe
So
and
the revelation would come to him,
Yeah.
and he would then speak, and then he had scribes like Zayd ibn Thabit and others who would Muawiyah and others who would write it down, and they would write down the revelation, and then it was compiled in his lifetime from Surah the beginning to the end, Fatiha to Nas, the first chapter to the end, and memorized by the companions.
Oh, yeah.
Written down on bone and hide and parchment, but also memorized.
Yeah, because
and
people
then,
didn't know how to write and all that other stuff, so they learned it through.
well, there were those who could write as well, like
Yeah.
Umar ibn Khattab, he could write, so
Yeah.
they would write
But it was
down.
better to memorize it.
Exactly, but many people, I have recorded 38 different people that have historically been documented that they memorized the Quran during the lifetime of the Prophet, peace be upon him, like Ibn Mas'ud, like Ubay ibn Ka'ab, like Uthman ibn Affan, and we know their names, first names, last name, where they were, and all of that. And then right after the death of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the first year, there's next caliph, it's called Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr's caliph was only 2 years and 6 months. In that, he compiled a standardized Quran from all of them, bringing all the companions together. So from the lifetime, now today, if you look up the Birmingham Quran, there are pages from that have been carbon dated to the middle of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, to the later part, or the beginning of the Khilafah Abu Bakr, that are carbon dated to that time. And we can read that and read a Quran today exactly the same.
My goodness.
Unlike what you mentioned about the Bible, the Aramaic is lost and the earliest we have is Koine Greek, we have those original Arabic writings that are carbon dated. We have the Sana'a Quran, which is from the time of the Caliph Uthman, the third Caliph, which is again still in the first generation, who standardized the Quran. We have that actual Quran and it's been carbon dated, right?
Wow.
So this
Where's
is
it
why
kept?
it's kept in museums. The Sana'a Quran was found in Yemen. The Birmingham Quran, for example, it's in England. Parts of many of these are in France, in Germany, in Turkey. There's in Uzbekistan they have one that's also old, not from the same time period.
Yeah.
And many of these have been carbon dated, so there is no doubt. Even the style of writing, the Kufic writing, and so on.
Yeah.
So, and there are people who have memorized the Quran since the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, till our time.
Yes.
Which is the amazing part, right?
Yeah.
Right now we have a brother here. He's praying right now, but he's memorized the whole Quran as well, word by word, letter by letter.
Yeah.
So it can never be lost. You know, we can never lose that meaning because when you've memorized it.
Yeah.
There are even different styles of recitation. It's called qira'at, right? For example, in English we would say, in America we would say, can you get me a piece of bread, right? In England they say, could you get me a piece of bread, please? Like you see how they shorten it, it's a little different.
Yes.
Can I have a spot of tea? That's a British accent.
tea,
Spot of
yes.
tea, like we would say, can I get a cup of tea, right?
Yes.
Or in the South they would say, y'all want some tea? So it'd be a very different accent.
I've lived there too.
Exactly, right? So even how to recite the Quran is preserved. Now that's not a different Quran, those are different recitations,
Yeah.
but even then we have the ilm of qira'at, right? Those have to be traced all the way back to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Even the style of reciting, that's how accurately the Quran has been preserved.
That's
you know?
cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm telling you, please take one, it's free, read it. If you have any questions, come back. I can tell you are somebody whose heart
I love
is open
history.
and your mind is open, and I pray that Allah will guide you to the truth. And I see that you have a lot of the Muslim belief already.
Well, I'm a Christian, so of
Yeah?
course.
Yeah, there you go.
Get
There
our
you go.
minds together.
All true Christians will be Muslims, right? If they're true followers of Jesus, they'll be Muslims. If they deviate into following the Pope over Jesus or
No,
Paul,
no.
right? Exactly.
I don't go
You-
after the
you-
Pope or
You are there. You are there.
There's just one
If they're followers of Paul instead of Jesus, then that's different. But if they're followers of Jesus, as you are, you're a Muslim, and that's it. You just have to get caught up on the new, on the updated software.
Yeah. English
Salaam
reading and
alaikum.
notes.
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much. I'll let you get
Great
going.
conversation.
This is wonderful.
Please come back. We're here every Sunday, and you know we have a mosque here in San Diego as well. If you have any questions, feel free. You can get a phone number or email if you want a message, or just come back here on Sundays.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. I don't want to.
Perfect. No problem. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
I
much.
enjoyed chatting with you.
My pleasure.